If you've seen Infinity War, you probably already know the Infinity Stones are pretty powerful. After all, they're what Thanos was after. The 6 stones in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are so powerful, in fact, that together, a person can literally reorganize the universe should they wish to, or, destroy everything altogether. There are 6 Infinity Stones in the movies: the Space Stone, blue; the Reality Stone, red; the Power Stone, purple; the Mind Stone, yellow; the Time Stone, green; and the Soul Stone, which is orange. Each have their own unique properties, which imbibes the owner with the stone's specific powers. Together, as already said, they grant the wearer, the owner, complete control over, everything. However, there are additional Infinity Stones not featured in the Marvel movies, yet they do make appearances in Marvel comics, video games, and TV shows. For now, we're going to start with the 6 already mentioned in the canon, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then move on to the stones less familiar to the general public afterwards. Where did they come from? You might have missed it, but in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Collector explains that the stones originated from 6 singularities, or black holes, that existed before the creation of the universe we see in the Marvel movies. This means the stones existed independent of time, space, or matter of any kind. When the Big Bang happened, the singularities transformed the infinite energies inside of them into 6 different stones, each extremely unique and extremely powerful. The stones in the movies? There are 6 that we see in the Marvel movies. The Space Stone. Surprise! Gives the user power over space. So basically, with this stone, the user can create portals, pathways, or tunnels from one location in the universe to another. The Space Stone is hidden inside of a blue cube called the Tesseract, which we see in the first Captain America movie and then again in the first Avengers. The Tesseract, and ultimately the Space Stone, was passed around a lot, from S.H.I.E.L.D. to Loki to Thanos to a vault in Asgard. Maybe the Space Stone was named after all the spaces it's actually been in. The Mind Stone resided in Loki's scepter, the long, shiny, glowing staff thing he used in the first Avengers movie to hypnotize and brainwash people into doing his bidding. Early on in these movies, the Mind Stone seemed to be used mostly for controlling the will of another person, although we see it fully utilized after the creation of Vision. After that, the stone is set in Vision's forehead, granting him a lot of cool powers, such as the ability to fly and phase through other people. The Reality Stone. The Reality Stone allows the user power to manipulate matter, the source of all reality. It's first shown in Thor: The Dark World and is hunted by the dark elf Malekith. The actual stone was inside the creepy, red, liquidy aether and can, you guessed it, reshape reality to however the user wants it to be. Because matter is generally thought to be the building block of reality, this makes a lot of sense. The Power Stone is located inside the cool tribal orb thing we see in Guardians of the Galaxy. The Power Stone seems to be mostly used for combat. Ronan manages to wipe out an entire race with the stone. This particular stone can only be used by powerful beings, otherwise it kills the user almost instantly. The Time Stone is first featured in Doctor Strange and handled mostly by Doctor Strange. He finds it in the eye of Agamotto, who, in the comics, was allegedly one of the ancients who helped hide the Infinity Stones across the universe. The Time Stone can manipulate time, either by fast-forwarding time or reversing it altogether, but it can also be used for creating time loops, which is how Doctor Strange conquers Dormammu. The stone is considered one of the most powerful Infinity Stones because of the totality of the consequences of its powers. With the stone, you can control all of time, even time that exists within alternate realities. So basically, with the Time Stone, you could effectively control the multiverse. The Soul Stone is obtained only if the user is prepared to sacrifice it all. On the planet Vormir, on a real, weird cliff, the Soul Stone is guarded by Red Skull, the villain of the first Captain America movie in all of his Voldemort, or maybe more like Dementor-looking splendor. In Infinity War, he tells Thanos that he needs to kill someone he loves, which leads Thanos to subsequently push Gamora, his daughter, off the cliff in order to secure his new power. Nice. The Soul Stone holds power over any soul, living or dead, but it also can be used to steal the gifts of other people. the other stones. As stated before, these are the Infinity Stones not featured in the Marvel movies, but they do exist in Marvel comics, video games, and TV shows. The Rhythm Stone. The Rhythm Stone gives you the ability to dance uncannily, like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. Okay, I made all that up. The Rhythm Stone is shown in the Superhero Squad show, a TV series aired on Cartoon Network in 2009. This stone is created by Loki in an effort to distract the Marvel heroes so that he could find the real Infinity Stones. In fact, the Rhythm Stone possesses no actual powers. Loki is nothing but consistent, right? The Ego Stone. It was introduced in Marvel Comics in the 1990s. Marvel purchased Malibu Comics and featured a crossover special where it brought in characters from Malibu Comics, aka the Ego Stones and Nemesis. The Ego Stones is dependent on the other 6 Infinity Stones and possesses no innate powers of its own. Only when combined with the 6 could it bring Nemesis back to life. Otherwise, it's basically a bust of a stone. The Battle Realm Stones were introduced in Contest of Champions, a mobile phone game. The first Battle Realm Stone is called the Evolution Stone, which was created by Dark Phoenix. The second, the Genesis Stone, originated from the particles of a substance called neutronium. Neutronium is a dust that is rare in the comics but shown again in Contest of Champions. The War Stone is the third and resulted from a battle between Doctor Strange and Dormammu. The fourth is the Nightmare Stone, made from data that was gathered by MODOK, a giant supervillain that essentially is just a giant head locked inside of a tub. Maybe this is why the stone is called the Nightmare Stone, because its creator looked like a literal nightmare. The fifth and the last of the Battle Realm Stones is the Chaos Stone. This gem has unknown origins, and in the game merely exists in order for the player to keep it away from Thanos. Unfortunately, the powers of each Battle Realm Stone is still fairly mysterious. All we know about them is that they make Thanos more powerful than before. The Forever Glass, or the Wishing Gems, are made of glass-like sheets that do, well, we really don't know what. Because of the multiverse, a reality in the comic books existed where the Infinity Stones were less like stones and more like pieces or layers of glass. Combined, they make the Wishing Cube, which supposedly grants the user anything they desire. The Wishing Cube is eventually used by Marvel superheroes in order to stop multiple realities from colliding, leading to Earth and an alternate Earth from an alternate reality from smashing into each other. The Build Stone was created exclusively for Lego's animated movie. It's called the Build Stone, precisely because children use Legos in order to build things. So, on the nose, right? Perfect. The Build Stone can create any weapon, which is why Thanos wants it, so he can make the BLT, or the big laser thing. Incredible. Anthony is, how to describe Anthony? Anthony exists in the Ultimate version of Marvel, where Natasha betrays the Avengers and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were a little too close. Additionally, in this Ultimate universe, Tony Stark comes down with a brain tumor, which he figures out is sentient, and then he befriends it, of course. He also names the tumor, giving it the very human name Anthony. Besides being sentient, Anthony can solve complex problems and hold conversations with him. To Tony, Anthony manifests as a young boy when he hallucinates, until Anthony, or rather the brain tumor, is cut out in brain surgery by a guy named Reed, who sounds like a total dick. Readers never heard of Anthony again, or how exactly he works in comparison to the other Infinity Stones. The Death Stone, or the Mortal Stone, is also from another reality, one where a protagonist named Enwen Bacane created a whole new Infinity Stone which causes Thanos' glove to stop working. In turn, Thanos was destroyed and then dissolved into dust. This is the only major event where we see the Death Stone being used, and it definitely lives up to its name. Black Panther's secret weapon, by being a mouthful on its own, is considered an Infinity Stone in its own way. During the Secret Wars on Battleworld, the secret weapon actually exists as a gauntlet equipped with a full array of Infinity Stones and is used to stop Doom in another alternate reality where Doctor Strange, an apprentice of Doom, is killed. Black Panther then sets out to find Doctor Strange's sanctum and eventually finds the gauntlet, which he uses to distract Doom so that the other heroes had time to save Battleworld from Doom's army of Thors, which were formed from a variety of universes. The Ultimate Gauntlets are two gloves that essentially act as copies of the one we see Thanos use in the Marvel movies. In 2000, Marvel expanded their comic universe by creating an Ultimate Reality. This means the rebooting of many popular titles and superheroes already canon in the series, changing titles from Superman into Ultimate Superman, but also changing more about the characters than just their names. For example, in the Ultimate Universe, the Hulk is gray instead of green. In addition, there are 2 more Infinity Stones to supplement the 6 we already know about, and therefore 2 gloves to wield them all. The Infinity Sword is a weapon featured in Marvel's The Superhero Squad Show, an animated parody TV series launched in 2009. The Infinity Sword originates from the power of the Ego Gem, although it's fractured into pieces called Infinity Fractals, and is subsequently sought after by Doctor Doom. The sword acts as its own glove of sorts, and in the end is nabbed by the Silver Surfer, which ultimately turns him into his evil counterpart, the Dark Silver. Sick. Doctor Doom's Infinity Gems are not so much a new collection of gems as they are a retelling of the Infinity Stone's fate. In the What If comics, literally comic books that showcase what could have happened if bad guys had won, Doctor Doom wields the gauntlet and uses the power for total dominance of the universe. Goodbye Kree, Celestials, Asgard, again. The Infinity Mitten is basically just the Infinity Gauntlet, except parodied by Marvel itself. In addition to the What If comics, Marvel also launched the What The series that ran from 1988 to 1993 and boasts Spider-Ham instead of Spider-Man, a pig bitten by a spider instead of Peter Parker, and a mitten for Thanos to use instead of the gauntlet we know. He still uses it to wipe out half the universe, but in mitten form. Spidey's gauntlet moment isn't a weapon of its own, but it is the event where Spider-Man becomes the user of the Infinity Gauntlet, which he uses to reverse Thanos' well-known Diva moment. You know, the part where he basically kills everybody. This happens in the What If newer Fantastic Four comic, where Thanos uses the gauntlet to, in addition to everyone else, to kill off all superheroes in Marvel except for Spider-Man, the Hulk, Wolverine, and Iron Man, who then become the new Fantastic Four. The Capcom Infinity Gems are gems eventually formed into a weapon called the Infinity Buster, used to defeat Ultron and Sigma, the Mega Man villain, who stole the reality and space gems from the Avengers in order to fuse their bodies and dimensions all together. This all takes place in the Marvel vs. Capcom video game series. The hybridity of the villains becomes Ultron Sigma. Creative, right? Which is a force so powerful that the collective heroes had to invent a new weapon capable of wielding just the rest of the gems in order to defeat the superboss. The reality gem from Contest of Champions is featured in the fighting game with the same name, which takes place inside its own universe. In addition, Contest of Champions also has its own comic series, but also has its own set of gems. Thanos is thwarted in this universe by the Illuminati, but even funnier is the fact that Tony Stark uses the gem during Civil War to aid his own war efforts and make himself president. Literally nothing unimaginable about that, is there? I'm Dan Slentz, and that is the Infinity Stones Explained.